Suara Inspirasi,
where every voice tells a story.
and every story will inspire you.
Okay, back to being formal again, or semi-formal. Okay.
Right.
I guess we covered a bit of this at the end of the last break, right? In terms of where the Singapore and Malaysia brotherhood or kinship is ideally the future of Southeast Asia, right? Because guess what? For the past, 40, 50 years now, since we, broke up.
60
years we broke up, right? It's always against one-upmanship, right? And I guess the one-upmanship made Singapore what it is and Malaysia not too bad in terms of trying to keep up to Singapore. But today in Southeast Asia, we are losing out. The
Correct.
up-and-coming ones, the Vietnams of the world.
Exactly.
If
Exactly.
Myanmar didn't have the junta sort of take over the country, they would have been the next beacon of hope for Southeast Asia, right?
True.
And I think we share a very, very interesting cultural hotpot, right? In both Malaysia and Singapore. Dude, Singapore anthem is still Malay.
Yes,
Right?
there you go.
Right? I don't know whether you understand what you're singing. My friends in Singapore don't understand what they're singing, bro.
But they're singing.
But
They're
we're singing it. Majulah Singapura.
That is Singaporean.
Yes.
Sorry, mate. I had to slip that in.
No, I want to make this last leg a bit more relaxed,
Okay,
right?
all right.
So if you look at it, Singapore, what I guess would irk a lot of the Malaysian entrepreneurs, and to a large extent, the Southeast Asian ones are, the VCs are 5 minutes away from him.
Yeah, there you go.
For us, not too bad. We're an hour away to Singapore, we meet all the money guys.
Yep.
But for the guys outside Indonesia and all this stuff, it is not exactly easy. Now, Singapore built a thriving startup ecosystem primarily because of the fact that the government had the right initiative and incentive to say, look, there's Temasek, there's GIC, let's spread the, butter around and allow to have a new form of funding for new up-and-coming innovative companies to transform Singapore. That was 15 years ago. Malaysia is now getting there. We have some of it, but we're becoming a bit more structured on the back of what Singapore's done very successfully. Now, the difference in your mind, okay, is the fact that while you're here most of the time, you've got a lot of clients here. Have you seen, in your eyes at least, Malaysia moving in the right direction? Forget about what you're reading in newspapers, yeah?
Right.
All the cool stuff that we're announcing. Do you feel the pulse of the nation moving in a direction forward?
Oh, absolutely. I think for me, it's always a reflection of who is the next generation going to be like for the new generation of startups, right? I think what, at least in my own limited view, the next generation of entrepreneurs are more and more global. They understand how technology can affect any businesses anywhere around the world. And ultimately, it's a function of, are you first and foremost able to understand the market they are serving? That is the best part about, I think, being in Malaysia, right? You have so many different cultures, so many different language. It's like this perfect hotbed of, new opportunities that you can tap on. It's just waiting for someone to grab it. And that is it's like you're trying to plant or grow a tree, right? The first and foremost, the soil bit and whatnot needs to be healthy and whatnot. And you guys actually have that. And slowly, you're starting to see a lot more Malaysian companies coming up, right? You see big ones like Carser and stuff like that start coming up, like unicorns within the region. And these are unicorns not because they're built in Malaysia, only solely focusing on Malaysia, but
True.
they're using this as a way to get access to the rest of the markets.
You're right.
We talked about the language earlier. Now you have this Google Translate that's already in your brain all the time. What stop? Now all you have to do is just go for it. And I think what Malaysia really needs now is a few more case examples for the younger generation to look at. This guy's done it. He has done it. Why can't I do it? And then you can kind of extrapolate yourself. I think that's kind of the way I looked at myself when I wanted to start as well. Unicorns in Singapore as well. These are the people that I look up to. I think I could kind of mirror my own trajectory next to that. I can give it a shot. It's more attainable, from a perception perspective, it's more attainable for me. And I think that's kind of what Malaysia needs. But from a directional standpoint, definitely in the right direction. The best thing is most of you guys already have those ingredients. So it's just literally just waiting for something to happen. That's the way. Yeah, exactly, right. And that's kind of how I see this. And I think we spoke about what have Singapore done well. I think we have seen at least KL20 just happened, right?
Yeah.
Same thing. I think generally the right direction. You need two things to happen, right? For the ecosystem to thrive. A good base of entrepreneurs and access to capital.
I want to highlight the inspiring part.
Yeah.
What he says is interesting. He looked up to a bunch of people who are unicorns in Singapore. So Malaysia, obviously, Kasem is the only unicorn of note, right? This is a mind shift changed? I'm more interested to find out. When did it stop becoming, hey, I look up to these guys, to realizing,
Yeah.
hey, I
Correct.
can be one of these
Correct.
guys?
Yeah.
When do you realize that?
I think you never do. You never do. Imposter syndrome is always real, right? It's always going to be real. And I think it's important to have that because it keeps you grounded to some extent. But once in a while, you look back and then you see, oh shit, how far I've come. And I think just going back to Endeavor as a program itself, it's also something where when you have sharing session with like our fellow entrepreneurs and whatnot, you start to realize, hey, oh, you're actually going through the same journey as me. Oh, you're actually going through the same journey. Hey, you're slightly more mature than me in your journey. Oh, you're slightly more like, you're maybe a junior to me in your journey. You use the next person as your anchor point, right? Maybe let's say you're a sub $10 million company and you're like, look, that guy's done it with, let's say, 20% less people, but he's a $50 million company. What do you think he have done well that I can learn from? And the guy's probably thinking, okay, I want to go from 50 to, let's say, 200 million. And then you look at the next guy. So then suddenly that path start to chart out for you naturally, right?
So you kind of pick or choose your journey with the experiences they have. And,
Exactly.
Right. Okay. I mean, that's the way to go.
Yeah.
Right.
And I think going back to the first section we talk about, for me, the reason why I started the company was also because I wanted to expose myself to as many high flyers or entrepreneurs who have been there and done it before. I wanted to short circuit my own journey, my own learning path and whatnot. And it lines out to my own personal values as well. It just so happened that somehow this was a path that I took. And I liked it. And as I walked the journey, for the last 5 years, I've seen people that also walk the same path as me, and you build that bond and that spirit as well, and they become your anchor point. And some of them eventually become your lighthouse as well, right? I want to be that person and whatnot. And maybe from a pure financial perspective, maybe unwillingly, unknowingly, you have also surpassed them. And then you look for the next lighthouse. Then you look for the next one. Then you look for the next one. And the reality is then you quickly reach a stage where your ambition is your only limiting factor. Your own drive and whatnot is your own limiting factor. And that's where it becomes, like, I think, more fun and more meaningful. But for just to anchor back conversation to Malaysia, I think building a stronger, let's say, entrepreneurial community, it's number one. And then like everyone can look up to each other and, you build yourself towards that path. I mean, I'm still going back to the point where like right ingredients.
The journey.
Yeah.
Right.
The camaraderie, right?
Yeah.
You cannot do it alone.
Yeah.
And I think earlier when you mentioned, if I had gotten 1 or 2 pieces of advice, I could have probably saved 3 months of sleepless nights.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
You know what I'm saying,
Dollars,
right?
Off record.
Yeah, off record. You would have to ask Jun Kai for that.
Okay. Right. There's some intrigue stories that we can't put on record, but no,
maybe,
contact Jun Kai. Anyway, I want to tap a little bit about your personal reflections, what's running in your mind. First, the ISP experience that you have, what are the unexpected lessons that you got and you learned from the ISP experience. We'll also want to tap a little bit on your thought process on the legacy and would you like to do it again, By the way, before we forget, for the
Viewers.
ISP is the International Selection
Selection
Process panel for Endeavor, right? So you go ahead.
I think for me, I attended ISP with zero expectations. My journey was a little bit unique where I went through the local panel and the international panel in a very short amount of time. So my entire experience exposure in Endeavor was also relatively limited. But the biggest takeaway I had and the biggest unexpected lesson that I had was that the world is just so massive. There are things that bind us together. Entrepreneurs from different countries, different languages, different regions. There are things that bind us together, right? That drive, that camaraderie, that spirit, that intellect, that curiosity. Those are the things that never die. They're always the same, right? We can speak something completely different. Someone's speaking Spanish, someone's speaking like Portuguese, if you're speaking like English, Chinese, Malay, whatever. I mean, that core essence is the same. But the unexpected lessons is the best entrepreneurs view your business, or at least for me, the panelists view my business. It's always from a global lens. It's never one that is very local country focused. It's never a singular country. And it's something that I think also a lot of VCs kind of look at, if I were to just taking from the lens as well. Because that really goes down to how scalable your business is going to be and how scalable of a founder or entrepreneur you are going to be as well. If we were to take away, let's for example, right? Let's look at Southeast Asia as a whole. 650 million people, give or take. Take Indonesia out of the equation. Every other country is sub 100 million population, give or take, rough. That singular market is not meaningful, right? At all. But if your business is scalable to the point where you're able to apply that to multiple countries, despite language, despite all the different nuances, then that is something that's worth talking about. I think that became extremely real for me when I was going through a panelists that are of that level, of that caliber, right? Operating in multiple markets. They were critiquing my business. Is your business, is there a path for your business to get there? That's one. But more importantly, are you able to be that person who's able to bring the company there? So that two factors for me is something that I really had to really reflect myself. If I want to bring Janio to the global level, right? Do I have what it takes? And is my business built for that? Those are things that I had to fundamentally re-question some of the choices that I made and re-question like the way that my company is being built now. That was the biggest, I think, unexpected lesson that I had. An unexpected thing that I went through. Another one was that I'm still amazed at the fact that like you guys managed to get like all these folks that you only really see in the newspapers or magazines.
That's endeavor, mate. That's endeavor.
Like what the heck is going on?
Yeah.
And people doing it willingly, right? It's this, again, going back to gold mines, right? It's just this gold mine you can tap on. Right place, right time, right people. You have everything you need. It's just up for you to grab it, right? Then if that's under that situation, drive is the only limiting factor, then that's something you can fully control. And it's just for you to go grab it, I think.
I mean, again, the next part again, legacy, and would you do it again?
For my business?
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. I think in a heartbeat. Will I do it differently? Yeah, absolutely. I think for me, with the information I had at the point of time, okay, taking hindsight away, with the information I had at the point of time, with the resources I had at the point of time, I would have done it again in a heartbeat. And I think being raised as a Singaporean, I'm a very practical person. I think that's what a lot of Malaysians are.
Probably over practical, I guess. Singaporeans, I'm not saying you, but I'm just, again.
You're kiasu and whatever nonsense, right?
Correct.
And let's just look at it from a pure math. If not this, then what else? Right? I would have been, let's say, whatever my parents wanted me to be. Maybe at the point of time, their perceived understanding of what they think was best for me, and I love them for that. All right. Where will I be 5 years from then? Maybe mid-manager or something like that. Versus something that I'm doing today that I love, with the people that I've never imagined I'm able to get access to, with the wisdom and knowledge that I've learned painfully over the years. This would have taken me 30 years, 20 years easily, if I'm lucky.
Organically, yeah.
Yeah, with a destiny that is not in my own hands. Is it painful? Yeah, it's bloody painful. You lose relationships over that and whatnot. But will I do it again? Absolutely. Because at least that's for me, that's what's most important. I'm not saying that this is something that everyone should go for. But what I'm saying is that if you think that you want to maximize your learning in the shortest amount of time and get exposed with unlimited upside, this is something you should definitely go for. But you also need to understand that this comes with a cost, right? Because I think that is something that we are not very transparent in terms of sharing as well to most people, where
Correct.
The cost that comes along like by doing this it's lonely, it's painful, and it's terrible, right? You need to have a higher tolerance for pain. I think that is something that is quite understated. But yeah, I would definitely do it again. Long story short.
Well, I think we are really coming to our final end of this segment, and the most interesting part, as usual, our end for all our sections is our famous quickfire questions, right?
We should do quick fire with donuts, bro.
Yeah,
I'm sweating already.
Yeah. Answer.
Yeah, turn on the AC, guys.
Okay, so you're only allowed to answer one word. Okay, one word answers, and it's going to be quick fire, okay? So we're going to start in 3, 2, 1. First question. What is the most important quality in an entrepreneur?
Perseverance.
If you can have dinner with any person in the world, dead or alive, who would it be?
Musk. Elon Musk.
Okay, that was good.
Yeah.
For a while there, I was
Elon
like,
Musk.
it's like the
Yeah.
cartoon mask.
Yeah.
Or okay, what would you say to your younger self?
Listen more.
Describe your Endeavour journey in one word.
Amazing.
And what is the most memorable moment for you in Endeavour so far?
ISP.
Wow,
Wow.
Okay.
That was efficient.
That was really
Wow, literally no stop at all, man.
stop it all.
Know what you
Amazing.
want.
I mean, Jun Kai, thank you so much. I hope you had an enjoyable time
Absolutely.
today. And thank you for taking time all the way from Singapore. And for our viewers out there, I think each episode brings you a very colorful experience that we share, and I hope this is really beneficial to most of you guys. And feel free, to let us know. I mean, contact us and let us know how we could do it even better.
Before we end the segment, we've got to give something special to Jun Kai. So for the next trip
Okay.
to KL, he doesn't have to take any more grabs because
Correct.
Audi is giving you, at the very least, any car you want for a week.
So
There you go.
Thanks to Audi for that.
Thanks to Audi for this.
Yeah.
And
Thank you,
Jun Kai is
guys.
gonna have, there's a bunch of stuff inside here as well.
Yeah, there are
and more
other-
stuff being given later to you.
Yeah.
Another reason to join Endeavor.
Yes, another reason to join Endeavor. He gets an Audi.
Right. Again, thanks Audi for being our sponsor and really, really supporting us in this entire podcast. You know, you've been really, really helpful. And Anlin,
Thank you again
Thank you,
for
guys.
Jun Kai and for sharing us the wonderful journey of Janio. The journey for Janio doesn't end here, obviously, but
Correct.
also his moment with Endeavor doesn't end here because we have a welcome lunch for him right after this.
exactly.
Which we won't be able to have you, but guess what? Next time, maybe we'll invite some of the viewers to join our welcome for entrepreneurs.
Definitely. We'll have meet the viewer session.
Yes.
All right. And Jun Kai, any last words?
No, thanks everyone for having me. Hope to meet you guys soon. Feel free to reach out to me wherever.
Okay. Cheers. Thanks.
So what happened was my parents came to visit one of the holidays, and I took them to eat Nando's. In those days, remember, right? Fast food was just your big brands, and that was
Correct.
it. It was just American fried food,
Yeah.
basically, or burgers.
Yeah.
And this Nando's had like spicy flavors. It was just, it was just so different. It was grilled. And my dad fell in love with it, called the manager over and just immediately said, right, where do I get this? Within a month, he was flying over to South Africa.
Okay.
And then he called me up. I was still at work, and he said, how about you come back and run the business for me? And I was like, what? I've just spent 7 years to qualify. I just got my RIBA. I was a professional architect. And what did we know about chicken, right? There's then something called fast casual.
Okay.
And fast casual is basically food is cooked on order.
Okay.
And at that time, we were the first. Nobody else knew about it. And then, of course, you got your casual dining. The fast casual category in the world is probably the fastest growing category right now.